What's up, dudes and dudes here, and we are back in the ball. Today we're going to be doing the next Leviathan video. It's going to end up being the Vanguard, or the Vanguardian as the in-game calls it. We always just call it Vanguard or VG. I'm sorry that this video is so late today. You know, I'm not going to hit you guys with excuses. I've just been busy, and I've also been staying up late recording other games and stuff like that. I'm just editing. Anyways, hopefully I can get the rest of these Leviathan videos done before the end of the year. I don't know if I'll be able to get them all done before Christmas, but anyways, for the Vanguard, a couple things that I gotta point out. First of all, you are not going to be using this class as a boss killer. You know, it's not that you can't. The whole goal of these videos is I want to give you guys an example of how powerful a class can be as a boss killer while taking very realistic and very casual approach to it all. You know, I'm not like super min-maxed. I don't have like absolutely perfect stats, but frankly speaking, it's not gonna make much of a difference, because if you are into that aspect of video games, you're probably not playing Trove, because Trove's not really that complicated. It's just big damage, go burr, and then it's trying to find a balance between your crit damage and your physical damage or magic damage. Anyways, with the Vanguard, you don't want to use ranged mode. They did end up kind of overhauling the classes. I think a year or two ago, they did some huge changes to a lot of the classes. Vanguard kind of got a little bit shafted, not as much as the Gunslinger. But generally speaking, the class did get bumped up a little bit, but not enough that it was like, oh my god, now I can actually use ranged mode for everything. You can actually use ranged mode and use the Vanguard very effectively for speed farming. But when it comes to bosses, it's kind of meh, as you'll see with the footage later on. Now, I'm going to actually mention that I didn't have everything absolutely perfect on this character. I don't think I have, I don't have a C4 fist. And the gear that I was using had me at like, it was either 220, I want to say 225% attack speed, somewhere around there. So I didn't have close to 300, which would be more ideal, because the primary amount of damage you're going to get out of this guy is his punches mixed with the laser beam. But the laser beam, you can't really, I don't know. There's a couple things that you could end up doing, like using the Zealous emblem to restore all energy and then spamming your lasers over and over, which I didn't actually do in the footage, as you'll see. So again, it's not the absolute best example of the Vanguard, but frankly speaking, if you're trying to fight bosses, why are you on Vanguard in the first place? Unless it's your only main class. Anyways, again, swap over to my Shadowhunter here just because I want to show you guys, because this is pretty much the gear that I unanimously have been swapping to all of my characters, save for obviously the fist weapon. And then, I think this is all accurate. And then for the ally, I was just using, I'm pretty sure, just Scorpius as usual. I could have probably, well, no, there's no reason to use a cooldown ally. And I don't remember whether or not I ended up equipping food. Yeah, I'll admit that it wasn't super duper optimal using the Vanguard, but so help me, it doesn't matter. Anyways, I'll insert the footage here so you guys can see me fighting it. Keep in mind that why it seems so weird and unorthodox is because I was recording for like an hour or two and having you guys help me find the Leviathan. So I actually had 2 clips that I had to completely scrap because that's 2 Leviathans that did not go my way. But here's the successful one. Yeah, there's way too many people here. I mean, if those of you that are actually chilling in the stream are in here, please don't attack it, because whatever. But at the same time, it's like, I already know Vanguard is bad. So I'm just gonna fight and just go, because otherwise everyone's gonna kill it. There we go. That's my damage. It's not ideal. I can do like 10 to 20 mil when I do my burst down, but that only lasts for like a little bit. And then unfortunately we have like a Draco and other characters around here fighting, so it's not properly representative, but yeah. Vanguard's not like horrible, it's just like in comparison to every character, it's like not a good boss killer. So again, terrible example for you guys, I'm sorry to say, but for those of you that end up watching like the proper dedicated Leviathan video, I've been trying to find a Leviathan for my Vanguard to fight for like an hour. So, so obviously there was some other people there, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference in terms of my own personal damage, just because, you know, Vanguard's kind of, well, it's the Vanguard. But yeah, so again, the goal with these videos is, most of all, let's assume that this is your only character that you can end up maining, right? Like, let's say you only have one set of good physical gems and physical set of gear. And so you're using this class most of all for speed farming, but then you also are wondering whether or not you can end up using it for Leviathans as a boss killer. And the answer for pretty much every character in the game right now is yes, with a little asterisk by it, because each of the classes is going to function better or worse than one another. You know, if you're fighting a Leviathan, ideally you would use Solarian or even Boomeranger as one of the other top tier ones. There's a lot of other classes that are top tier, but I'm just giving a rough outline just to mention that if you are strictly fighting Leviathans, you're going to want to have something better than Vanguard. But if you just casually are wandering up to some Leviathans and killing them because they just happen to be there in the middle of your normal farming, then yes, you can use the Vanguard. I'm gonna be real with you guys. At this moment in time with Trove, we've talked about this many times on stream, but frankly speaking, there is an issue with the game right now where we are too powerful. You know, with the Trove skill tree, and, you know, Crystal 4 gear and even Crystal gems, we essentially have gone beyond the power limit of anything that we can fight in this game. There is, of course, U11 Leviathans, but there is no point in fighting them right now because they are just going to end up being a random variant of U8, U9, or U10 Leviathans, but they're going to have stats equivalent to U11, which means that we do not have enough light value to farm them efficiently. You can still kill them, but excuse me, usually you end up running out of flasks or whatever by that time. The other thing too you gotta consider is that in these videos, I'm trying my best to fight these Leviathans alone so that we can do direct comparisons between other classes that are fighting them alone. But in most circumstances, you are not going to be fighting a Leviathan solo, so it doesn't really, like, again, this is a very niche set of videos that I hope I am delivering on the premise of it and what you guys are actually expecting from it. And if I am, I would appreciate if you would smash like, sub for more. You can buy the merch you want to support the channel. I know that my merch is a little bit out of date this year. I didn't end up having any Christmas hoodies or anything show up, and there's been a lot of technical issues on the side of the storefront. I noticed that a couple of my hats have been removed from the store for God knows what reason. I hate my merch store. Not the merch that I sell, just the management of the store is like incredibly tedious, and they do things behind the scenes without me noticing and just are like, oh yeah, we removed this item because we increased the price of it. And it's like, why? I have the price of everything as low as I possibly can. Why don't you just adjust it accordingly rather than remove it from the store? Anyways, now I digress. Thanks for watching, gamers. I hope you enjoyed.